Hello everyone. As I was unable to be in Canberra with you, we decided to record a short presentation of the award. So I told Silvia this presentation should be in Portuguese, both to force you to read subtitles and also to emphasize the diverse atmosphere of our association. Besides, Brazilian Portuguese may be worth listening to. Como vocês sabem, o prêmio da Iaspm tem duas categorias. Uma categoria para livros publicados em inglês e outra categoria para livros publicados em outras línguas. Esse ano, tivemos submissões de 14 livros em inglês, 5 em espanhol, 3 em alemão, 1 em português e 1 em francês. Esses números são semelhantes da última edição do prêmio, em 2017, quando tivemos 15 livros em inglês, 2 em espanhol, 2 em alemão e 1 em português. Dá para a gente observar uma recorrência de alguns idiomas, né, na premiação e, sobretudo, muitas ausências, além de idiomas muito pouco representados no prêmio. É algo que a gente pode pensar junto em como resolver. Tivemos novamente esse ano dificuldade em formar um júri para avaliar os livros. De algum modo, parece que os pesquisadores têm pouca disponibilidade para integrar o júri e enviar os seus pareceres no prazo. Essa dificuldade é maior na categoria Outras Línguas, porque ele precisa manejar idiomas diferentes. Curiosamente, os avaliadores dessa edição da categoria Inglês, a sua maioria, apesar de ter um bom domínio do idioma, serem fluentes, não são nativos de inglês. Não sei o que a gente pode interpretar sobre isso. Além do fato que a gente precisa afinar os procedimentos para que a tarefa de conseguir avaliadores não seja tão exaustiva. Além disso, talvez as próprias categorias do prêmio possam ser revistas. Estamos encaminhando para a Assembleia algumas sugestões nessa direção. Para esse prêmio desse ano, dada a impossibilidade de fazer leituras comparativas entre os finalistas da categoria Outros Idiomas, decidimos atribuir, em consulta à diretoria, 2 prêmios para essa categoria. Assim, o prêmio Iaspm de 2019 de livros vai ter 3 premiados, 1 para a categoria Inglês e 2 para a categoria Outras Línguas. Feita essa apresentação, passo a palavra para a Silvia, para ela apresentar os livros que concorreram ao prêmio e os ganhadores desse ano. Espero que vocês estejam tendo um ótimo congresso. Beijos do outro lado do planeta.
Hi, my name is Matt Brennan, and I'm the author of When Genres Collide, published by Bloomsbury. My book rethinks the relationship between two of the 20th century's defining musical forms, jazz and rock. And my central argument is that in order to understand these two genres, we can't think about them as separate entities, and instead have to consider their formation in relation to one another. I also argue that in order to understand the formation of popular music studies as a field of scholarship, we have to consider it in relation to the development of popular music journalism and how these two fields of writing have informed one another. I tackled these ideas by examining a lot of previously unexamined archival sources, and I make a few discoveries along the way, including the pioneering figure of Ruth Cage, an African-American journalist writing in the 1950s, who I propose should hold the title of the world's first rock critic. Thank you for considering my book for this award.
Hi, I'm Monica, and this is my book, Independent Music and Digital Technology in the Philippines. In this book, I explore the ambivalent role of digital technologies in music industries and artists in the Philippine capital region, Metro Manila. At the beginning of the 21st century, the transnational major labels basically collapsed due to rampant piracy. Suddenly, everyone was indie and solely responsible for getting their music out there. Digitization, especially home recording and the internet, definitely made this easier, well, at least for some parts of the population. Employing ethnographic methods in online and offline contexts, I show how people produce, promote, distribute, and finance their music, and how they engage in the making of a musically diverse and vibrant independent scene.
Hi, I'm Robert Strachan. This is my book, Sonic Technologies, Popular Music, Digital Culture and the Creative Process. In a broad sense, the book traces the historical shift from analogue to digital in music production. More specifically, it looks at the entwined histories of virtual studio technology and more general developments in the tech sector, such as the emergence of personal computing, app development and graphical user interface design. It argues that the way in which these elements have developed in tandem has led to a new set of sonic and visual affordances that permeate the creative process and ultimately the way that producers and musicians work with and think about musical material. It also examines how digitisation has fundamentally changed the context of music production, from the democratisation of production technology to the way in which records are made in the upper echelons of the recording industry. Finally, the book looks at the aesthetic implications of digitisation through an examination of how various post-millennial genres and the ubiquity of digital techniques such as comping and autotune are reflective of digital culture and post-human subjectivities.
Good evening, Australia. I'm Dean Vuletic, a historian of contemporary Europe, and this is Vienna Calling. It has been said in the Eurovision Song Contest that the history book on the shelf is always repeating itself. But my book, Post-War Europe and the Eurovision Song Contest, is the first ever scholarly study on the history of Eurovision, focusing on how the development of the contest has been intertwined with the politics of contemporary Europe. I travelled across Europe to uncover this history in archives and libraries. I watched all of the first 60 editions of Eurovision and analysed each of the 1,438 entries from these. The Austrian entry Merci Chérie won Eurovision in 1966, but I must say Merci Marie, as my project was financed by the Marie Skłodowska-Curie actions of the European Commission.
Good afternoon. My book, The British Blues Network, Adoption, Emulation, and Creativity, is about the blues and its impact in Great Britain from the 1950s through the 1970s. It tells two interrelated stories. The first is how the blues got to Britain and was appropriated and emulated by an interpersonal network of young, mostly middle-class white men. The second is how the members of the network went beyond emulation by creating innovative blues rock that was obviously indebted to the blues without being directly derivative of it. In the process, these enthusiasts became some of the most famous rock bands of all time, among others, the Yardbirds, the Rolling Stones, Cream, and Led Zeppelin. The British Blues Network explains how this happened. It examines the role played by British narratives of race, masculinity, and power in an era of decolonization, as well as by contemporary understandings of America and its culture, and it assesses how the network used blues vocabulary and mythology to forge their own musical identities. Thank you for your time and consideration.
How does music move? This book, called Musical Mobilities, shows how music moves literally and metaphorically. I tell how people, objects, and information travel across geographical locations. I also show how musical practices circulate along with skills and embodied dispositions. Musical Mobilities is an ethnographic work focusing on son jarocho. Son jarocho is a musical practice originating in Southeast Mexico, currently reproduced through transnational connections, particularly in the United States. The main argument of this book is that the global circulation of musical practice, with its rules, routines, meanings, instruments, and know-how, is connected with the movement produced during performances. Investigating this connection is crucial to understand the mobilities of music.
Hi, I'm Monique Ingalls, and I'm assistant professor of music at Baylor University. This is my book, Singing the Congregation: How Contemporary Worship Music Forms the Evangelical Community. My book examines a pop rock style of congregational music that's become central to the religious practice of around 500 million Christians worldwide. Using multi-site ethnography and multimedia analysis, I ask how listening to and performing this music shapes how evangelical Christians understand their own religious community and its relationship to the broader society. My book demonstrates that in order to understand the dynamics of much contemporary religious music, we must first examine its many areas of overlap with popular music industries, its use of digital media technologies, and its appropriation of events and modes of gathering from outside traditional religious institutions. Thanks.
Hello, I'm Owen Coggins, and this is my book. It's the first study of drone metal music, which is a marginal form of heavy metal, also influenced by minimalism, Indian classical music, and noise, amongst other things. And it's characterized by extremes of repetition, slowness, amplification, and distortion. The book is based on 5 years of data collection and analysis. And it's about how religion, specifically ideas about mysticism, ritual, and religious experience, are used by audiences in drone metal. In music festivals, concerts, as well as people listening at home and in their everyday life, and how they communicate and interpret ideas about religion online. So this is the book. It's called Mysticism, Ritual, and Religion in Drone Metal, and it's published by Bloomsbury Academic.
Robert Loss, author of the book Nothing Has Been Done Before, Seeking the New in 21st Century American Popular Music, published by Bloomsbury Academic in November 2017. Nothing Has Been Done Before challenges the binary choice between the point of view that there's nothing new under the sun, and on the other hand, our contemporary culture of unceasing newness, pushed on us in this case by the advertising industry and the music industry. My central argument is that the performance of music is the being of music, and is this being in the field of history that gives music its potential to be new. However, nothing is guaranteed. Everything depends on the creation of significant differences between the past, present, and future. I explore sonic acts of revolution, remixes of the past, declarations of pop democracy, unheard voices, and voices in the process of reinventing themselves. While accounting for models of the new ranging from Alan Badu to Harold Bloom. What I hope is that Nothing Has Been Done Before resets, enriches, and reinvigorates our global conversation about popular music and the question of newness. Thanks for considering me for the Iaspm Book Prize.
Hello, I'm Sam Bennett, and this is my book on Susie and the Banshees Peep Show. The book is number 132 in Bloomsbury Academic's 33 1/3 series. The conceptual framework is based around film and film music. This is a detailed, analytical, musicological take on the album that situates the record in more than 100 films and scores that were known influences on the band. The book reveals deeply embedded historical and aesthetic paracinematic influences and demonstrates how each album track is a reflection of genre film. The diverse orchestration, complex musical forms, atypical narratives, and evocative soundscapes reveal Peep Show as a deeply and inherently cinematic record. There's surprisingly little work on this highly influential post-punk band, which is partly what motivated me to write about them. I do hope you enjoy the book. Thank you.
André dos Santos Menezes, eu estou concorrendo ao Book Prize da Iaspm com esse livro aqui, Pandeiros e Bandoneones, Vozes Disciplinadoras e Marginais no Samba e no Tango. Ele é resultado da minha pesquisa de doutorado. Eu selecionei para essa pesquisa letras compostas até 1940, letras de samba e de tango, nas quais aparecessem personagens marginais, no caso do Brasil, um malandro, e no caso da Argentina, o compadrito. Eu vi uma contradição que músicas onde aparecessem personagens que estavam tão longe do cidadão ideal fossem adotadas, dos estados nacionais daquele momento, fossem adotadas como, em diferentes medidas, como músicas nacionais. Então, na minha pesquisa, eu tento analisar, ver nessas letras se aparece algum embate entre essas vozes disciplinadoras e marginais. É isso.
Canciones en el cine español, or Songs in Spanish Cinema, examines the role of Spanish film music during the first decade of the Franco dictatorship, the autarkic period, which was marked by the country's isolation and based on a policy of economic independence. This iron fist policy, with the army, the family, and the church as its ideological foundations, used cinema as an important means of propaganda that was controlled by strict censorship. This particular form of censorship gave film scores much more leeway than other aspects of film. While both the screenplay and edited visuals were submitted to the censors, scores were not. This meant, I argue, that the scores could be ambiguous, upholding the regime's values on the surface, while offering more complex and less official perspectives with greater subtlety.
Cada vez el viento pasa y se lleva una flor.
Hola, soy Iván Iglesias, profesor de música popular en la Universidad de Valladolid, España, y en este vídeo quiero presentaros mi primer libro. Se titula La modernidad elusiva, jazz, baile y política en la Guerra Civil Española y el franquismo, y fue publicado en 2017 por la principal institución científica española. Las principales conclusiones del libro son, en primer lugar, que el jazz fue un arma política y un factor de cambio social durante la Guerra Civil Española. En segundo lugar, la música popular urbana ha sido crucial en la construcción de mitos y recuerdos sobre el conflicto. En tercer lugar, el fascismo en España se fundó sobre audiopolíticas y biopolíticas estrictas, y además, la atención a la música popular urbana y sus bailes revela colaboraciones y resistencias al régimen hasta ahora ignoradas. Quinto lugar, el caso español ofrece nueva luz sobre el papel del jazz en la diplomacia de la Guerra Fría. Y por último, las hibridaciones entre jazz y flamenco han sido procesos transnacionales abiertos a apropiaciones antitéticas. Este libro contribuye a la comprensión de la guerra y el fascismo como fenómenos sonoros y de escucha. Revela el complejo papel de la música popular urbana en las dictaduras, a la vez, como propaganda y subversión, como entretenimiento y erosión. Propone estudiar el jazz como un ensamblaje multiforme, poroso y relacional. Y finalmente, explora tropos y relatos históricos alternativos sobre la música popular afroamericana.
Hello guys, it's good to see you through this video. Let me take a couple of minutes to explain my book. My book, called Pego el grito en cualquier parte, describes and analyzes the performance and tradition of the Chilean urban cueca between 1990 and 2010 in Chile's capital city, Santiago. I think this book contributes at least with three important elements. The first one is it summarizes a long discussion of more than 100 years, more than a century, about this genre in books, chapters, papers, press, and other different sources. Second, this is the first urban ethnography of a traditional or folk genre in this country. And the third important contribution, I think, it updates the discussion about traditional genres in South America. The book is based in three different axes. The first one is authoritarianism, popular culture, and nostalgia. The second, oral tradition, repertory, sociability, and locality. And the third one is music participation and performance. This is what I'm proposing here, and I think is a good contribution to popular music studies and ethnomusicology in the context of a global production of knowledge. Thank you so much.
Greetings from Bavaria, Germany to Canberra. My name is Laura Niebling and this is my book, Rockumentary, Theorie, Geschichte und Industrie. Popular music has been an important theme of films and series in television, cinema and beyond for over 5 decades, once again increasingly dominating film prizes and festivals alike in recent years. A term closely associated with this trend is rockumentary. Deriving from radio, it soon started to appear in journalistic and scientific writing about music documentation on film, eventually encompassing a wide variety of genres, both in popular music and in film. The book proposes a first comprehensive overview over the theoretical and historical framing of the term, citing many films and filmmakers. Even though the cover might not suggest it, an emphasis lies on the changes after 2000, with the chapters leading to a unique study of today's rockumentary industry. I hope to have it translated sometime soon. Until then, I'd be delighted to hear from anyone having questions. Thank you for watching and enjoy your time in Canberra.
So this book, Histoire d'une oreille, in French, Story of an Ear, tells the story of a musical ear, which starts at childhood, and suddenly there is a musical emotion, very strong, and then another one, and another one. And in the end, the story is about how these emotions build up and build a kind of cathedrals of emotions, and that defines in the end, what is the year of someone like me, born in the 20th century? I wanted to do that because the story has never been told really, and I wanted also to show that this is not like it's very hard, of course, to talk about music, but the way I did it is by grounding, if you want, all the musical examples in the text. So basically, the idea that in the text, in the margin, you see you have some codes. And you can take a code, like for instance, here I'm talking about Zoot Allures by Frank Zappa, and I can use a smartphone and scan the code, and suddenly and right away the song is played on Spotify here. So that's the first time that the story of how an ear develops through the evolution of someone listening to music, is told. And with examples, about 1,000 examples. So it's a kind of cathedral again of how a musical ear evolves and is constructed.
This is a video presentation of the book Musicians Among Themselves, Cohesion and Performance of Semi-Professional Music Groups by Tobias Marx. From a social psychology perspective, this book aims at describing social interaction in small, self-organized popular music ensembles, namely bands. Concepts of expertise, personality, cohesion and performance are examined and modified to enable description of group processes in bands. These theoretically derived concepts are tested on 5 bands using questionnaires, diaries, interviews and video capturing. The relations of the data results in a performance-related model of social interaction for small, self-organized music groups. Higher internal as well as external performance is dependent upon a moderately high level of expertise, a personality constellation of differences, and high social cohesion. Hence, the definition of expertise must be broadened in regard of organizational skills and non-verbal collaboration being necessary in addition to accumulated rehearsal hours. More information can be found on ResearchGate.
Hi, hello everyone. Hope you're doing well in the conference in Canberra. So I am Fernand del Val and this is my book. It's in Spanish, Rockeros Insurgentes, Modernos Complacientes, un análisis sociológico del rock español en la transición. It's based on my PhD dissertation, that's why it's quite heavy. So, this book talks about popular music in Spain during the Spanish political transition. I analyze some music scenes of those years. I made interviews with rock journalists, with rock musicians, fans, and I also analyzed several rock journals and magazines and newspapers in order to understand what happened in the popular music field during those years and why in Spain we're always talking about movida madrileña instead of other important music scenes of those years. So this is briefly the idea of the book. Hope you enjoy it. And as I said, hope you're having a nice conference, and hope to see you in the next conference, wherever it will be. So bye bye, and nice to talk with you.
Hello everyone, My name is Sergio Ospina Romero, and I am the author of Dolor que Canta, La vida y la música de Luis A. Calvo en la sociedad colombiana de comienzos del siglo XX, roughly translated as The Singing Pain, the life and the music of Luis Antonio Calvo in the Colombian society at the beginning of the 20th century. Luis Antonio Calvo was one of the most popular musicians in Colombia at the time, but also his life was marked by adversity and tragedy. He very early in his career, he was found to be a leper, and he was confined to a leper colony, and he spent the rest of his life in that condition. So the book explores, through an interdisciplinary approach combining elements of anthropology, musicology, and cultural history, explores the unique case of this musician in isolation, while at the same time covering issues related to Colombian cultural and social history, like the social life of these sick people, the emergence of national music in Colombia, and the introduction of industries of radio and records in Colombia. Enjoy.